What's up everyone, Master Fox here today. So it's been a while since I did my last $100 budget deck video, so I thought it was time that I do another one. And with the ban list freeing Geargia, I thought this was a perfect opportunity to take the chance and make a nice Geargia budget deck. So let's go right into the deck profile. We have 3 Geargia Accelerator, 3 Geargia Armor, and 3 Arsenal. So these are your staple Geargia monsters. Basically, you need to run them all at max numbers. And then I have the 1 Geargiagear just because I'm running this as a Karakuri mixed build. So I'm not maxing out on the Augur. Although Augur is still a pretty good first turn play since you can go into Augur and then go into your Geargigan X. And then I'm running the 4 gears. I choose to run a single Mark III just so that I can run the Megazord Geargia in the extra deck, the Geargia XG. I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then here's the standard Karakuri engine. So you have the 2 strategists and then the Karakuri Watchdog. Also, I'm taking in the Gen X ally Birdman just because he combos really well with the Karakuri engine and Geargia Accelerator. Then we have a single Instant Fusion, a Dark Hole, the poor man's version of Raigeki, 3 MST, Bottomless Trap Hole, Solemn Warning, Torrential Tribute, Vanity's Emptiness, Compulsory Evacuation Device, 2 Call the Haunted, 2 Trap Stun, 3 Gear, freshly off the ban list, 2 Trap Tricks, Trap Hole Nightmare, and then 3 Anti-Spell Fragrance. So let's move on to the extra deck. So the extra deck is packing 3 Geargigan X's, Gaga Cowboy, 2 Castels, 1 Rhapsody, 1 Geargiagear Gigan XG, 1 Abyss Dweller, Black Rose Dragon, 2 Shogun Bures, 1 Burrito, 1 Crimson Blader, and then the single Norden. So the deck overall is basically specifically made to counter the meta, namely the Pendulum incoming meta, and it works really well against Magispectors as well, since I'm using 3 Anti-Spell Fragrance here. If you want to save some money and fine-tune it to face Cosmos, what you can do is instead of using 3 Anti-Spell Fragrance, you can swap in 3 Imperial Iron Wall and then side the other 3, or either way, however you want to start your deck, depending on your local metagame and what you would kind of expect. But overall, this deck is very solid since it can access a plethora of the rank 4s as well as go into an OTK rushdown mode just because you have the Karakuri engine there. And with Gear back at 3, you can make a lot more plays, whether it be at the Synchro spam or just spamming out rank 4s. We have double Castel here because Castel can take care of basically most threats. I know it's kind of difficult now with targeting effects to attack Magispectors and Cosmos, but against everything else, Castel is still pretty good. And let's just talk about some other cards that you could be running. I know in the future, Wiretap is probably going to be a really good card to run in the main deck, or at least in the side deck for sure, just because of Performapals and Performages. They'll be running Ariadne and then spamming out those Solemn Notices. Another good card I think is Mirror Force. It's not good against the meta right now, but it's still going to be a pretty strong card in the deck just because you need a way to protect your Geargia armor for a turn, and so Mirror Force does that pretty well. And then, since this is a budget deck, a good option instead of Fiendish Chain or Breakthrough Skill, I think, is Memory Loss. It's good for 2 reasons. One, because it kills tempo due to it shifting your opponent's monsters into defense position. And then 2, because it doesn't target, which means you can actually use it on things like Dark Destroyer as well as the Magispector cards. And then another option is, if you don't like the Karakuri variant of this deck, you could always max out on Geargiagear and then swap out all the Karakuri cards, and then you can add in a few more trapped or something like that and run it more like a control stun Geargia deck. And then of course there's some staple rank 4s that you could be running. If you had more money in the budget, you could run a 101 and then Ptolemaeus, and then going along with Ptolemaeus we have Diamond. So overall, the price of the deck is actually very, very reasonable. The main deck itself is $76.94, with all of that pretty much being in these anti-spell fragrances. I think like $60 of it is in these anti-spell fragrances. So if you actually just decided not to run anti-spell fragrance, The whole main deck is basically like $20, even less than that. It's like $16 because each of these cards is $20. So if you take out the 3 anti-spell variances, you're taking out $60 from the $76.94 main deck. And then the extra deck is very reasonable as well. You get a full extra deck this time around. I managed to squeeze everything into here, and then it's only $20.09 total. So overall, the deck ends up being $97.03, which is very, very reasonable for a solid deck. This is not going to win you any YCSs, but it's definitely going to be able to compete at a local level, and maybe even against the meta if you check out with the correct floodgates type cards, just because Geargia are a deck that can run a bunch of floodgates. And then I guess just one kind of weird thing in the extra deck to talk about, you could run Stardust instead of Crimson Blader. I decided to run Crimson Blader for just one reason, against Cosmos. Crimson Blader is actually pretty good against Cosmos if you can run over their monsters before their turn, which kind of shifts momentum pretty heavily. Although Stardust Dragon is pretty cheap too. You could probably replace it for Stardust and still be well within the $100 budget. So that's pretty much it for this video. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in my next video. Also, be on the lookout for a DevPro duel or a dual commentary video using this exact budget deck in the future. Thank you.